Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Super-Fanta-Fi. This being a show where we talk about TV shows of the supernatural, fantasy, and/or science fictional genre. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of NOS4A2. Obviously, we're literally picking up right where last week's episode ended. The fact of the matter is, Lou and them are trying to fortify their defenses in preparation for Charlie, and obviously they're trying to explain anything to Chris, because Chris is like, all right, we got feds out there, plus I got this, we're ready to defend, but it's like, it's just Bing, but it's like, no, it's not just Bing, there's also Charlie, having to explain that to Chris, which obviously he's like, I get it, dude, that sounds crazy, but the only one who can end this is your daughter, she's far more powerful than any of us really understand. It's like, all this is kind of you're throwing all the magical side of things at him too damn quickly. It's like, no, he doesn't know about the bridge, he doesn't know about this and that, but I just thought that was so, it's just like, okay. And it's like, well, I get it. You're trying to warn him at the last second because you don't want him going out there unprepared. At the same time, it's interesting because we finally got to see what, the hourglass, man, his whole shtick is. Because it seems like, he basically can control you. Because I guess it's like his thing is kind of almost like a self-destruct mind control. Or I'm curious. It seems like it's probably more likely when it's, because it's like he gave them the order of save some time for yourself, meaning when it's all said and done, save some time to also kill yourself before the hourglass runs out. But basically, I think that's supposed to represent oh, I got control of your time. I don't think it's a thing of the moment the hourglass is empty, they automatically die type of Death Note type of shit. I mean, granted, yes, I know that's completely different, but then now I'm sitting here thinking about it, you could definitely compare it to a Death Note situation, because the Death Note can control people into doing stuff prior to their deaths, so it's a very much like a Death Note type of situation, but he's able to kind of mind control you, because like I said, I think it's just he's able to kind of take control of your time. It does show that it is limited, but once again, he's able to kind of completely control you like that, which is oh, that's super powerful, but obviously there's going to be limitations, obviously. Once again, we see Charlie's able to kind of affect his ramifications. Obviously Vic still kind of has to pay the price for hers. What's his price? I'm curious. Well, because at one point when we first met him, he was bleeding from his ear. So it's is that kind of how Vic bleeds from her eyes and she gets the headache? Is that supposed to be his equivalency of it? Or maybe it's a thing of that it F's with his time. The more he uses it, the more time he loses type of thing. I don't know. I just thought that was kind of interesting. Sadly, because of that, Chris ended up getting shot. He ended up having to put down one of the feds, but the other one ended up killing himself. And it's just Bing is, putting, the gas inside of there, so Lou had to leave. They ended up with Bing grabbing him, which is also interesting because I didn't bring this up during my Cursed review in the TV show. The actor who plays Bing is actually in the show Cursed. He plays Rugen. I just thought I didn't bring it up during the review, but I just thought oh yeah, I might as well bring it up here as well. Regardless, tangent and all that. At first I'm damn, that sucks, because I'm he's winning, because he brings him over to Charlie, they just throw him in the car and stuff and that shows you that it doesn't have to be 100% willing. I'm sure it benefits him for kids to just get in willingly, because he most often than not, the kids are already either knocked out or they got in willingly, because some of those instances he was an old man, so trying to keep a kid inside your car, so, but regardless, Vic shows up, and she does something I thought was kind of interesting. When she got there on her bridge, she turned around and she kind of basically made her bridge disappear. I was that's interesting, because I feel most often than not, it's just kind of an automatic thing. Once she crosses her bridge, she'll look back and it'll be gone. But I think this is the first time she's actively deactivated her bridge. I thought was kind of interesting. To be fair, the last time she left her bridge open around Charlie, he threw her knife in her bike, in there, and she lost access to her bridge for 8 years, so not about to take that chance again, I mean, we saw how messed up that kind of made her when he did it 8 years ago. Would it be worse, or would it just be about the same if he did it again? So I just thought that was just a kind of little bit of an element, because we've never really seen her active. I mean, maybe the argument could be she subconsciously did it every time, but this time she actively did, regardless. So it leads to a showdown with Charlie. She can't blow up all of the explosives in the ground because she doesn't want to take the chance she might hurt Wayne. Because I'm sure when she's seen that car come towards her and thinking about it, she got the detonator in hand and everything, I'm sure thinking about it, it's no, if I do this, it's going to be a repeat of Craig. I'm not going to lose someone else I love to that damn car again, trying, and in the means of stopping Charlie, I'm not about to kill my son in the process or even hurt him, so she ends up getting run down by the car. I was shit. but she seemed like she was okay. I was like, okay, because obviously we saw what happened with Maggie last season, so I was almost scared. But then it's like, and then he's beating on her back with that hammer. I was like, oh, dude. I was like, oh no. But then like they cut back to like, Wayne talking about the fact that you have, Dad says your armor. It seems like Lou literally lined that with like metal or something, which is interesting because I think it makes sense, him being the nerd that he is, but also it's just like beings out there. I know how dangerous things could be, so I guess that was just supposed to be his means of trying to protect her, which I thought that was actually pretty dope because obviously like they're a bit of a nerdy family, and obviously like it's just like I just thought that was just kind of an interesting aspect. So it's like that's why the card like obviously didn't mess her up too badly, and he's out there beating on her back, but it's like she's got that metal inside her back, and he's up there, once again it's just like his twisted notions of just like, it's just like the fact is he, has no right to call anyone a whore anyway, but he's getting on her being like, oh, you're promiscuous, like you're getting drunk, and he's acting like, oh my god, she fakes out there like drinking and banging, which I'm like, hey, she did, that's her prerogative. But it's just like he's trying to use that as an excuse to be like, oh, you're a terrible mother. It's like, to be fair, I think that's like, he's got that like psychological thing that you kind of see in a serial killer. It's like, oh, a serial killer who goes after specific people, you go after the mothers the way you do. It's like that fits, you could, if you want to psychoanalyze it, it's the profile of a killer who's like, oh, who had serious mommy issues. His mom, he constantly refers to as a whore and stuff like that. So that's why he in particular hates what he considers terrible moms. It's like, because he doesn't say that about Lou, because why? Because he's like, no, fathers are good, because I'm a good father. It's like, you're a monster, but in his mind, it's like, oh, once again, all the children he's saving, he's like, oh, I'm saving them, so, but him saying all that stuff to her, I think it's also because in his mind, it's like, because also like, it's probably makes him reiterate stuff about his own wife. It's like, you didn't believe me, you're this and that, and it's just like, oh, because Vic had a child with someone else she wasn't pure for you, she's a whore now. Like, obviously that was a whole thing last season, and obviously he's bringing that up now. Luckily, I loved it when Vic got over, like, kicked him, grabbed the hammer, got the leg right across the damn face, start beating the shit out of the car. I'm like, yeah. I was like, holy shit, she turned this around. But obviously she couldn't get to Wayne, obviously because of the car and everything. Like, breaking that glass is probably next to impossible, and it sucks because I also like what they kind of integrated throughout the episode is obviously it's like her desperate need to save her son, and obviously these constant flashes, because we got the beginning where it's like when she was giving birth to Wayne, like he wasn't breathing at first, but luckily it's just, and I think that's supposed to represent the fact is of like, he can say all that he wants to, but even like Wayne coming into this world was a struggle, but the fact is he fought to live, and the fact of the matter is he kind of got some of that fighting spirit from Vic, and I think that's what that's supposed to kind of be, setting up. Like, despite what you think about her as a mother, like, yeah, she has her faults, she has her flaws like any normal human being, because he isn't willing to see his own flaw. He's only willing to see every mother's flaws instead of his own. I'm referring to Manx. But the fact of the matter is, it shows her love for him, and just constantly, it's like we get peeks into that, because like that's something we never really got to experience was that 8-year period. We get like tiny bits here and there, like holidays and stuff, like them celebrating, like them going trick-or-treating on Halloween and stuff like that. It's just, obviously she's desperate to save her son. Obviously, you got Bing over there with a gun and everything. And Bing's so stupid, he doesn't realize, like, what Charlie's saying. Because Charlie's like, oh, you'll come to Christmas. Oh, there'll be a feast. And you're like, he doesn't realize, like, oh, Charlie's going to take you to Christmas Land. And he's going to feed you to the children. Because it's like, no, like the only adult that's going to be in Christmas Land is him. Once again, his wife's situation, like I said, that could be a ghost, that could actually be her. We don't know the ins and outs of that. I'm curious to kind of circle back to that. I think we'll get back to that soon enough. But the fact of the matter is, it's interesting too, because Bing is saying all this stuff like, oh, you got a pretty face like a girl, but it wouldn't be too pretty if I bit your cheek off and then spit it on the ground. It's just like, oh, once again, I feel like he was already psychopathic last season. I feel like and I brought this up earlier, like they made him even creepier this season and even more psychotic this season. I thought that was kind of interesting. All this stuff about, oh, other these people being naughty, it's like you're at the top of the list of being naughty of the people you've killed, you lying sack of crap. not necessarily lying, but just kind of like you monstrous piece of crap. You know, like him and Charlie are like two peas in the pod. But the fact of the matter is, I was just kind of hoping, like, when it was all, I was just kind of hoping we would get his, because later on, like, obviously, like, he's shooting at Vic, she's kind of swimming away from him and everything. Lou tried to get to Wayne, but Charlie was bashing his head against the window. I was like, oh, please don't tell me Lou's gonna die, please, that would suck. But then, like, you know, and obviously, like, Charlie's trying to goat her by being like, oh yeah, the fact of the matter is, are you going to lose another man? Like, basically, it's not easy loving Vic McQueen, because basically it seems like every man that's ever loved you kind of meets their end horribly. Look at Craig. Same thing's about to happen to Lou. I'm about to take him to Christmas Land. He's going to be a feast for the children. And now I'm about to take your son too. Like, the fact of the matter is, like, you know, basically look at you, you're running, you know, that's what you always do. You run from the men you love, Lou, you run from your own son, your child, you know. And obviously, like, she can't do much because it's like she's kind of outnumbered. Like, Bing's got a gun. Like, if she comes out, like, she can't save anybody. Luckily, Chris comes to save the day. He shoots Bing. I'm like, yeah. But I was hoping Bing was dead. But it's like, no, Bing manages to get away along with Charlie getting away with Wayne, and you see the look on, you know, Bing's face, almost like, wait, he left me. No, maybe he's gonna be like, oh, I'll call him up later. Mr. Manx, you're coming to get me, right? He's probably gonna lie to him, like, yeah, I've got to get young Wayne to Christmas time, but I'll circle back to you. Or he might be like, nah, you're no longer necessary, blah, 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 using excuses. Like, he was never going to let him into Christmas Land anyway. That's because, notice, no other adults are in there, you know? So, once again, prior to Bing, we saw what happened to the previous guy that worked for him, you know, his previous Bing. We know, you know, so it's like, it was always going to end this way. We always knew it was going to end this way. But now Bing's kind of on his own. Obviously, like, he doesn't have Charlie's protection anymore. Like, I don't see that ending well for him. Luckily, Lou's okay. Luckily, Chris is okay. He's messed up, but they're both okay. And Vic trailing after them. And obviously, it's like, you know, the sad thing is, Wayne is like, I want to go back. But he's like, no, like, you don't have to be scared, Wayne. This is what you wanted. Like, you can say whatever you want, but I'm saving you, because deep down, that's why this whole thing happened, because you wanted it. You wanted it deep down. You wanted a house away from alcohol and violence, you know. So, but it's just like, obviously, Christmas Land had its own violence when it comes to, like, the people you feed to your children. You know, once again, it's just because in his mind, he thinks he's so warped in believing he's saving these kids. He's not willing to see, like, the monster that he is, you know? He sees himself as a savior, not a demon. But the fact of the matter is, Vic was trailing after them, bullets flying at the car, but can't do anything. And I didn't correlate when I saw the truck. I thought it was like, oh man, it's going to be Bing and he's going to hit her. I didn't realize, I didn't correlate my head. It's like, all right, it's the hourglass, man. But it also shows her bike. I mean, it could always potentially get repaired, but her bike is messed up, so she's not going to have access to her bridge for right now, you know? So, at least until that's repaired. So, so he's gotten away with Vic. I mean, he's gotten away with Bruce. I'm curious what the Hourglass Man is getting out of this. Like, why he decided to... I mean, to be fair, because it's not just, like... It's not just going to be Charlie that she's up against. Like, she's going to be up against every other, like, strong, creative who's part of the Night Road, wouldn't she? I mean, it might be a thing of like, oh, Charlie's business is his. It's not like they came searching for revenge beforehand, so it might be a thing of like, you know, to each their own. It's like, yeah, we're part of this collective, but if you go off and get yourself killed, that's on you. Like, but that's why Abe's all about like going ahead and killing her, because I guess it's like her being who she is. She could be a threat to the Night Road and all of them. I guess that's what that. Maybe there have been prior like Vic McQueens who are strong creatives who've turned against him. So maybe that's why they've kind of had that mentality. Maybe that's even why Hourglass Man is like, no, I'll work with you. I was about to say Hour Man. This isn't the Justice Society of America. Nevertheless, that's what I'm curious about. Like, what are they getting out of this? You know, Vic wakes up. And honestly, I started tearing up at the end just because, like, her crying, like her mom being there, like seeing, you know, Chris, seeing Lou, like, and hugging her mom, being like, he's gone, and it breaks your heart because it's just like, you know, her greatest fear, what she's feared for the past like 8 years, came to fruition, and she, you know, she was never able to find Christmas Land before, but it's like she needs to, or she'll never, because she's afraid, like, I'll never see him again, you know, so. But the fact of the matter is, Wayne is so resistant to it. Like, even if on some level he is like, oh, I want this, there's still kind of enough of him pulling away from it. But to be fair, all the other kids were like that too. But over time, they eventually just forgot. And, you know, the whole thing was like, I love you. No matter where he takes you, I will find you. I promise. Don't forget that I love you. And he said, I love you too. So we'll see kind of where things kind of go on that front. I mean, don't forget, there's already this scent back in Christmas already because of the whole Millie thing. Now, if we bring a combination of maybe Wayne still being really resistant and Millie kind of having questions about, like, what's going on here, Dad? Like, what have you hit him? Like, maybe she starts seeing through the facade of, like, Christmas Land and Charlie. I don't know. I'm curious to see where that whole storyline is going to end up taking. I'm curious to see where all of this ends up taking us going forward into the next episode. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Until the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and goodbye.